Don't forget to click the link in the description box below to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Let's ride. So guys, what up? It's the main man here, HH here for another Euro 2020 squad analysis. So obviously, remember in the description box below, we have over 150 guys who have already joined up for the fantasy league. So make sure that you click in the description box below to join your boys Euro 2020 fantasy league. Make sure you join my Euro 20 fantasy league because we're riding, man. So Portugal, I think we're dealing with the defending champions, and we're dealing with a team who has a very strong squad, a squad who I think is superior to the squad that they had back in Euro 2016. So who helping me here with this, obviously we're hoping to get another guy in, but then helping me here with this is Joaquim. So before we go into the squad and really try and break the squad down in detail, general thoughts and hopes coming into this. So, Joaquim, for your boys, Portugal, what are your general thoughts and your hopes? 2016 winners, looking at the squad as to what you can do at these Euros.
Yeah, so I think, we surely have a better squad than we had in 2016. I think that's undeniable in my opinion. But the 2016 win was, let's be honest, we didn't really face that great of a team until the final, and maybe we kind of got outplayed in the final and might have got a bit of luck, but it is what it is.
A win is a win. A win is a win. Yeah. A win is a win.
But I think this year we have a tough group, but I think we can get out the group. Germany and France are, in my opinion, probably two of the top 4 or 5 teams in terms of actual players. But I think if we play well, I'd say a semi-final. And when you're in a semi, you saw with Chelsea this year, you can just go all the way. You never know.
Anything can happen. Yeah. All right. I think I hear some noise in the background. I don't know whether that's your computer or something.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can turn that off.
All right, cool. Thank you. So let's now look at the squad, man. So here it is. This is the squad, man. The keepers, the defenders, the midfielders, and the forwards. So what I like to do with this whole thing is break it down into sections. So let's look at the keepers. So am I right to assume that Rui Patricio is going to be the starting keeper? That's right to assume.
Yeah. 100%. Fernando Santos always goes with him in the first team, so I don't see that changing at all.
So who would you say, if let's say, something crazy happened to Rui Patricio, he gets an injury, Rui Silva or Lopez, who would you prefer to be the deputize?
I haven't really watched a lot of Leon or Granada this season, but in terms of the national team, I think Lopez definitely has more experience than Rui Silva. And if it was up to me, I'd probably have him being a goalkeeper. I think he's just a solid second choice, in my opinion.
Okay. So let's now go into where it gets interesting. So we're now looking at the defenders. Cancelo, Semedo, Font, Pepe, who I think is about 50 years old, Ruben Diaz, Nuno Mendes, Rafael Guerrero. So, Semedo, I thought was really good for Barcelona, and I think sort of the tail end of his Barcelona thing, it wasn't really too good for him. So let's look at the pairing. I think because Fons is a solid defender, but I just think based on just the history that Pepe has and how I believe he was arguably player of the tournament in 2016, I think Santos, who's obviously very defensive, I think he's going to roll with a Pepe and a Diaz defensive partnership. So would I be right in that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Pepe and Diaz are the best center backs for Portugal. Font played in the Portugal-France game where we lost 1-0 at home. He was. For Lille, he's been good. He's their captain, but for Portugal, I don't really rate him that much. I think he hasn't been that great in the last few years. And I think he's his pace. He needs, in my opinion, someone like very fast, maybe beside him. And I don't think Diaz he's a great defender, but he's not like that really rapid defender, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Pepe, even though he's like nearly 50, he's pretty pacey actually. I mean, he's deceptive. He's pretty fast. So yeah, so yeah.
I mean, do you think that you maybe could do with more? Because so Semedo is his right back, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. Maybe I'm going crazy. I think there's only one left back here, and that's Cancelo.
Left back? No, I think no. Wait, left back. You have Guerrero and Nuno Mendes as well. Because Nuno Mendes is like most people don't really know about him because he plays in our league, but he's actually really good. We can talk about him later, but he's pretty good. So yeah.
Okay. So defensively overall, you would say that this is actually a pretty good, strong defense. Because again, look, I like Guerrero because I mean, watching Dortmund, I think Guerrero is money, and that guy is 100% quality. So really, I like what that dude brings. Okay. So let's now go over to the midfield.
Wait, hey, can I just say something really quickly about this?
Yes.
So, what I would like to say really quick is that if you go to their stats, we lack actually aggressive defenders because Pepe has that misconception of being aggressive and having lots of tackles and pressures. But if you actually see it, both Diaz and Pepe are actually on the lower percentage in terms of pressure, tackles, and interceptions this season. And I think the problem is that Guerrero, even though I think he probably is going to start, if you actually look at his stats, he's the bottom 2% in pressure, bottom 4% in tackles, bottom 11% in blocks, and bottom 4 and 5% in clearances and aerials won. So I think this guy might be a liability. If you face someone
So who are you saying is a liability? Who?
Guerrero. I think he might be a liability at left back because if we face like a strong team, like say a France or a Germany, maybe even in the group stage, I'm thinking maybe a right winger. So I don't know, either Sané, Gnabry, or Mbappe. They could exploit this guy. And we play it with Diaz. I mean, Diaz will have to do a lot of the cover work on the left. And if Jota or Ronaldo plays at left wing as well, these aren't players that track back and help. So this could be like a big problem.
Because for me, I call it the Marcelo issue, which if you plan well for it, you can deal with it. I would say that Marcelo was never an amazing left back. He's superb for footballer, one of my favorite footballers, but was never a great left back because defensively he wasn't so great. So what you do with that is, that's where we now get into the midfield, is when you have a guy like Guerrero who is quality and excellence going forward in terms of his crossing, his passing, and also his finishing as well. The DM has to now come in for that space and the central defender, but really specifically the DM who has to be aware of coming in and covering, which is why when you looked at Real Madrid during their three-peats, Casemiro did a lot of cover work whenever Marcelo would go up. So it's all about your information being fluid, because I am willing to afford a guy's defensive drawbacks based on what he gives me going forward. If Guerrero was trash going forward, then it's like, bruh, nah. It's almost like Marcos Alonso with Chelsea. Yeah, he can score here and then everything, but he isn't giving me enough over 90 minutes for me to accept how trash he is defensively. Guerrero is going to consistently say what's up for you over 90 minutes to say, all right, whether it's Danilo or what's it called? William Carvalho. Talking. Just remember, when he goes in, just talking, so we are protected from a potential counter-attack. So let's go to the midfielders now. I think it's going to get deep. So Danilo Pereira, Joao Palhinha, Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes, Joao Moutinho, Renato Sanchez, Sergio Oliveira, William Carvalho. I mean, look, the only guy I don't really know there is Palhinha. But apart from that, man, that is because the thing about that midfield is the variety. I always say that a perfect midfield is a defensive-minded midfielder, a controller who is good at passing, and a guy who can now attack. For me, so if I say I'm playing like a 4-3-3, I want one of my midfielders who protects the defense, one of my midfielders who is a quality passer who can basically do what a Javi can do, and a guy who can attack. the midfield and actually bring the ball upward like old school Royce. So in that, you have either William Carvalho or a Danilo who can protect the defense. You have either a Joao Moutinho or Sergio Oliveira who are very good on the ball. And then you have whether you want to have you can have either a Ruben Neves, Joao Moutinho or Sergio Oliveira who are great passing the ball. Then you have either a Renato Sanchez or a Bruno Fernandes who can now bring the ball up and out attack. Man. So, I mean, talk to me about the midfield.
I mean, there is plenty to talk about in the midfield. I mean, first of all, João Palhinha, which maybe you haven't heard of that much because he plays for Sporting, you know. But he's actually very good. He's like he kind of resembles Kante in sort of his play style. He's all over the place. He's really good at like intercepting the ball and pressing the team. And he's tall though, so he has that aerial advantage over Kante. Of course, he's probably not as good as Kante at this moment.
So basically, it'll be him, Danilo, and William Carvalho fighting for that position then.
Yeah, I think so. And then maybe actually against like weaker teams, for example, Hungary in the group stages, I also wouldn't mind seeing Ruben Neves at the back as a central defensive midfielder as well, because he's good at like distributing the ball and making long balls. And because we're not going to get attacked as much, hopefully, he could sort of be like that deep line playmaker and also get into the box to have some long shots, because he is very good at long shots and he does score some goals, and that could solve a game where Hungary or a weaker team is sitting at the back. So he could be important for that as well. I think Danilo, in my opinion, I mean, for PSG this season, it's kind of been an up and down. He hasn't started every game, but he has had some decent performances. He can also help at center back. For example, we only brought 3 center backs, which is something that, you know, it could potentially be a problem, but Danilo is also important because he can play at center back. We saw that in the first
against Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich, he did play at center back in the first game, so he can do a job there if for some reason 2 of our center backs get injured, which wouldn't be ideal. But yeah, I mean, he is pretty good on the ball. He isn't that fast, and that's the problem also I have with our central defensive midfielders, other than Palhinha, which is Danilo and William really aren't that fast, and to cover for Guerreiro, you would ideally want someone with a little bit of pace.
But here's the thing, though. Let me tell you about that. And this is, I think, it's like a thing that De Boer said as a defender. He said that it's all about being 5 steps ahead. So you look at a Busquets can hardly run. You know, like Busquets would probably do the 100 meters in like 6 hours plus. But what makes Busquets amazing is his reading of the game. So if you read the game well and you anticipate well, you don't need to be fast, because I know where you're going to be before you get there. So obviously I won't give my position away, but because I know where that pass is going to, I'm already going to be heading into that position before you. So I'm going to get there before you. So I don't need the speed. Now, if you can't read the game well, or you can't anticipate the game well, then that's where you're screwed, because then now that's there when you now have to rely on your speed, and hopefully you are faster than the guy making the forward run. But if you anticipate and read the game well, which I think Carvalho is pretty good at doing, speed isn't needed as peak. Well, not now, but peak Busquets showed.
I mean, I 100% agree with you on that. But I mean, the problem that I would have with William is, he kind of does read the game, but if you actually look at his stats, he is bottom 2% in interceptions and bottom 5% in blocks and bottom 11% in pressure. So, I mean, I don't know. I would probably have William as a second choice, because I think Danilo for that role and in that place to cover the left back as well, I think he is top 99% actually in clearances and 83 in interceptions. So he will probably work, and I think he has a better vision of the game in defensive terms. So I'd probably play him in harder matches. Albeit, I would also maybe consider playing him and William in a tough match like France, maybe, which we did do when we played them away. I mean, it kind of, you lose creativity and you lose a bit going forward. But, I mean, it would really depend on the sort of style of play that we use. But I think with our manager, we will probably play Danilo and William in the tougher games. or give Jean Pauline a try, which I think could be good because he is a good player.
So if let's just say general, forget the position, your first choice to play that DM role, who would it be? Taking everything into account.
Taking everything into account, I would say in harder games, I'd have Danilo as my first choice. And in easier games, I'd probably have Ruben Neves with my first choice. It maybe Renato Sanchez, which can play like sort of as a box-to-box next to him. And like in very attacking games where Pep and Ruben Dias can deal with the attacking threat of the other team. Probably against Hungary, maybe.
Because I'm really happy for Sanchez, because I remember when there was a lot of hype around him for Euro 2016, and he was supposed to be this big thing. And I think he moved to West Brom or something, so it didn't really happen for him. But then he had a super great season for Lille, and I think he even provided one of the assists for Lille's, I think their first goal in their final game to clinch the title. So I'm happy for Sanchez. Obviously, when we do the formation and everything, then we can see whether Sanchez would make, let's say, the team for Hungary and so forth. But look, I said, look, it's a really good midfield because there's a lot of variation there, because I think because we did like the England midfield, and that midfield is weak. That midfield is really, really thin. And I was looking at the Germany midfield, which is quality, but the Germany midfield doesn't have as much For instance, for the Germany midfield, which just makes Portugal so strong. So England midfield, they don't have a midfield controller. They have a DM thinking, but they don't have a guy for midfield. The Germany midfield, they don't have a quality DM. The only DM they have is Emre Can, who is trash. So Santos, the amount of options you have is amazing because you have 2 options to attack the midfield. You have about 2 options to control the midfield, and you have 3 options to now defend. That's amazing. So let's come to the forwards now. Pedro Gonçalves, Andre Silva, Bernardo Silva, your man Cristiano, Diogo Jota, Guedes, that dude, Joao Felix, and Rafa Silva. You see, my thing is that does Felix count as a forward, or is he more of a midfielder?
I mean, Fernando Central definitely play him as a forward if he plays him, which I'm not sure if he will play him because, I mean, he hasn't had as much game time as some of the other attacking options in our team. But I would actually, in my personal opinion, I would characterize João Felix more of like as a playmaker as well, like a sort of attacking playmaker. And if you see his stats, you would agree because he is top 90% in progressive passes, progressive dribbles, attempted passes, pass completion, all of that. So I think he is good at maybe behind the striker, making plays. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So he is good at being behind maybe the striker and making passes and maybe driving the ball forward. I would agree on that. But in my opinion, I think he'll be an attacker 100% because I don't see him playing any other position because I don't think he'll play in Bruno Fernandes' position, maybe if he plays as a center attacking midfielder. But I think you'll probably start on the bench most games. I wouldn't.
So, I mean, talk to me about Rafa Silva because I don't think I've really heard of either Rafa Silva or Pedro Gonçalves, man.
I can talk. Yeah. So, Rafa, I mean, he plays for Benfica, which is the second biggest team in Portugal. But in my opinion, he was good maybe 3-4 seasons ago, but these last few seasons he has been on and off. He is very fast and he does press aggressively onto the opposition defense, so he could be good, and I think that's why Fernando Santos picked him. But he isn't clinical in front of goal, and he does tend to miss a lot of chances. He is good at like creating play and driving the ball forward, but he's a poor finisher, and I think that's why he'll definitely not start in. I don't see him starting in any game, but maybe in 70, 80 minutes, maybe put him on, press defenders, try make him, have them make a mistake, getting those runs in behind the left back and the right back, and I think that's why he picked him, and he can be dangerous there if maybe his finishing was a little bit better. And Pedro Gonçalves, this guy's a very good player. I mean, if you check, he was the our league's best scorer this season. And he isn't actually, he's sort of a Bruno Fernandes, maybe I would argue a bit more attacking. He is good with the ball also, but he does tend to appear in those maybe actually even inside the box coming from midfield. I think he won't play many matches, I don't believe, because we don't really have space for him. But he could also be a good option coming off the bench. I mean, he's a quality player. He's a good dribbler and he's good in the box, a good finisher. So yeah, I like him as well. I think he's solid.
Okay, look, man, let's come and do the formation now then. So let's try and just say your ideal scenario, ideal for formation here. So let's work it. Cool. So in goal, so obviously that's Rui Patricio.
Yep, I would say so. Yeah.
So back four, I would assume.
So there, I would say probably he's going to start with Grade. I don't have any doubts about that, and he is probably, in my opinion, the best left back in the world going forward. I would argue. I don't think there can be like a lot of arguments for any other player. Maybe Luke Shaw's been good this season, but yeah, I would say he's the best attacking left back in Europe. But he does struggle defensively, which is for the easy games I would start Credo, and Fernando Sancho will start him. And he will start him in every game, in my opinion, because he's sort of a tried and tested player. He's been there since Euro 2016. So yeah,
and then right back.
Cancelo, I don't see him playing.
And then obviously Pepe and Diaz.
Pepe and Diaz. Yeah.
So now, what does the midfield look like then? Are we saying a base 2, a base 1?
I would say maybe against the tougher opposition, maybe a mix of Danilo, Ruben Neves, or Danilo with one of the other three central defensive midfielders. So either Neves, William, or Palhinha. I think he'll probably start William. So maybe you could put William there, which I think he will start, even though he hasn't been as consistent this season and as he has been in previous seasons. But yeah, you will start that definitely.
So are we saying is it a midfield 3?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, midfield 3. That's what we've usually been playing.
So who plays
remember
here,
correctly? So Bruno, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have Bruno playing there.
And then, so do you put Cristiano as a striker, or do you put him out on the left?
I mean, that's an interesting dilemma because
here's my thing. My thing is because I always say to guys is that don't be fooled that with he's a high goal scorer, play my striker. No, people like if you played Salah as striker for a whole season, he doesn't get as many goals. That's just a fact, because Salah gets his goals because of the position that he plays. So even if Cristiano is your goal scorer, clutch goal scorer, 29 Gs for Juventus, goal scoring freak, it is important that you play him in the position that allows him to get those goals. So if it's me, I think it makes sense to put Cristiano wide left, and then whether you want to play Andre Silva or whoever in as a striker, as a decoy to help facilitate Cristiano to do. But what would you do, ideally?
Okay, so I think that's the dilemma in my opinion. I think Portuguese press have been pressing for Cristiano to play as the striker so they can fit in Diogo Jota at the left wing. But in my opinion, I don't think that will do very well, because if you see the last games where Cristiano has been playing as a striker, he's ghosting the whole game. He's not playing well. He's missing open chances. You can tell he's not comfortable in that place. I don't think it's not where he likes to play. So I think even though he still is our best player, in my opinion, we should play him where he likes to play. And now we have Andre Silva, which has been bagging goals for Frankfurt this season and is a good target man. I think, we play him on the left wing and then play Andre Silva as a striker, in my opinion.
And who plays right wing?
I think Bernardo Silva plays right wing.
Okay.
I don't.
So this is you would say that this would be your lineup against tough opposition. So this would be your lineup against France and Germany.
That maybe with Nuno Mendes at left back instead of Guerreiro, possibly. It's a tough choice because Nuno Mendes is good at going forward also, and he's much better than Guerreiro at defending, at least in the Portuguese league this season. But maybe. But you also have the problem of him not being as experienced as Guerreiro, so you never know. Maybe starting him in a tougher game, how he is going to be mental.
Okay, so Mendes, so he is defensively better than Guerreiro.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
in my opinion.
No. I think because I think again, see, this is why I said that, but it's going to be 2016, the team picked itself. The team picked itself, so there was no dilemma. What is thing now is almost like bittersweet, like the gift and the cost. Like the gift is, wow, look at the amounts of choices you have. The cost is every game you now have to figure out what formation do you pick, because it's not a case of where will we have one team, stick to one team and go through. As you said, there is a thing, this guy is better going forward, this guy's better defensively. This team can exploit this team's weaknesses. This team can exploit this team's weaknesses, because the weaknesses that France have is very different from the weaknesses that a Germany would have. And I think if you're facing France, and remember, Mbappe plays on the right, you want this Mendes guy to go up against Mbappe. But now, if you're playing Hungary, a game that you need to not only win, but also get a few goals for goal difference, you want to say, Guerrero, boom, go through left back, right back, go all the way through, full on attack and through as many bodies forward. So I think for Santos, it will definitely depend on the opposition that they face. Here's the thing now, my question to you, because Joao Felix is my guy. I think Joao Felix is money. How would Joao Felix fit into this team?
I mean, I agree with you. There is a lot of divided.
Wait. Didn't he play the France game, Felix?
I can check here. So I'm pretty sure he played.
I'm pretty sure he played the France game.
I can check. So
in the pocket, in the attacking midfield position.
So at home, he played as a left winger, where we lost 1-0. And away at France, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he played as a striker.
Oh, okay.
So he did play both games, but it's hard to fit him in, because I really like him. I think he's a great player on the ball. He definitely passes the eye test.
Super on the ball. Yeah,
he's very good on the ball, and I think he brings something that no other player on this team brings. But I also don't see how Sanch can really justify putting him in, according to the season he's had, over anyone else. Because who would you put him over in this team? I mean, can you put him over Bruno? Probably not. He's not going to do that. Can you put him over André Silva? Maybe you can. But
for me, my thing is this is that. That's why it goes back to Santos and figuring out. You see, here's the thing. This is the key thing. That's why you have to understand your players and the position. And that's I think is the beauty, because I think it's a good problem that Santos has. Bruno with space is amazing. Giving space is amazing. But we saw in that Europa League final, if a team sits in deep, men behind the ball, Bruno doesn't have quality. So what Bruno has is that with space, I feel that he's going to make better decisions than Felix and be able to really, on a counter-attack and so forth, be able to really pass balls through. But if, let's say, you play Hungary and Hungary now sitting in deep, you probably need a technically superior player with a bit of silk and a bit of sauce like Felix. So I think Felix would work better against a team that sits in deep, that is much more defensively solid than Bruno. But again, the team that gives you space, Bruno will be better, because for me, Felix is a better footballer than Bruno, but I think Bruno is much more effective. So
yeah, I would agree with you on that. Playing him as a cam over Bruno, I mean, he really hasn't done that yet, so I'm not quite sure how that would work with our. I mean, that would be interesting if he played in the easier games, maybe a Ruben Neves, Renato Sanchez, and then a João Felix as a cam. So Renato Sanchez can be sort of a box-to-box player. Ruben Neves can be the deep line playmaker, and João Felix can be like closer to the box, feeding in the through balls to.
So let me ask. So, what would your lineup be against Hungary?
Okay, so against Hungary, it would definitely be Guerrero as left back. Yeah, 100%. And a Ruben Neves instead of Danilo. Maybe a Renato Sanchez a bit pulled up, maybe a bit more forward.
So Sanchez instead of William.
Instead of William, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
But a bit forward, so maybe at the halfway line, something like that. And maybe João Felix in that position instead of Bruno could work. But then again, I mean, I see this team and I see some danger in counterattacks as well. But I don't think we can play Danilo. I wouldn't like us to play Danilo or William against a weaker side, because I think they're just too defensive, and we'll just get into that sort of headspace where they're trying to do something and they're not really doing anything because they aren't as good as going forward as maybe these two guys. But I wouldn't be against playing a Danilo or a William instead of Ruben Neves, which I think is what's going to happen. He's not going to play Neves, Sanchez, and Felix. He's not going.
No. So and you would keep the front three the same.
I'd keep the front three the same. I wouldn't mind playing Diogo Jota and maybe Cristiano as a striker in that situation.
Okay, so wait, so Jota is left or right?
Left.
But here's the thing, though: Jota can play striker, can't he?
He can. Yeah, he can.
And here's my thing: I think because people talk a lot about this whole thing of Bundesliga tax, and the Bundesliga tax is those. Obviously, shout out to the.
It may be real.
Yeah. Those goals. I think so. In my view, I think Jota's goals, I can give more credit than Andre Silva's goals. So if it's a case of, I personally think that Jota would be a safer bet as a striker than Silva, because something just tells me that if, let's say, you go with Silva, I don't think he's going to perform that well. Like, he may ball against Hungary, but I think against Portugal, Germany, I'm not sold on Silva. I think if, let's say, you had a Jota here as a striker playing with Cristiano, and obviously is very mobile. He can come in deep. Yeah. Think he can come in deep. Think he can go in. So it's a lot of movements here. I think Jota would be better, because I think Jota's goals for Liverpool in the Premier League, which is tougher, and his goals in the Champions League, I think for me Jota is a safer bet than Andre Silva. I mean, what's your take on that?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a valid opinion. But what I would counter with you with is saying that, for example, Cristiano and Andre Silva already have sort of a history of playing together as a front two in Portugal. So I'm pretty sure Andre Silva has maybe 20 goals or even more than 20 goals. I'm not sure for the Portuguese national team. And he was playing with Cristiano at that time. And he did play tough games against Italy in the first League of Nations qualifier and against Poland as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Andre Silva. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's fantastic, but I don't think he's a Karim Benzema or something. No, he's not. But I think he can be good to maybe draw in defenders, and he's a good finisher. He showed it this season. He is a good finisher, so he could also open up space for Cristiano on the left. But I don't think playing Jota as a striker, maybe in a tougher game, is a bad choice at all. I think he can make those dangerous runs, maybe catch some defenders off guard. Depends on who France and Germany play with, but I think we can definitely explore Germany's backline, which I don't think is the best backline in the world.
So I'm currently saying, wait, who partnered Pepe in defense in 2016?
It was a mixture of Ricardo Carvalho, which a Chelsea legend, was very good.
Yeah.
But he was old. He was like 37 or 38 at the time, and Jose Fonte as well. So yeah, a mixture.
Wait. What's the name of the guy with the very scary face?
A center back?
Yeah.
Oh, I think Bruno Alves.
Yeah, with the scary face.
He hasn't been called up, but he has been good. I'm pretty sure for Parma or I'm pretty sure it's Parma. He's still playing. I mean, he's 39, but he is pretty easy.
Damn, 39. So because my thing is that, what do you think this pairing is going to do? Do you think that these guys can form a good pairing? Because that's what is key, the partnership, these two.
From what I've seen in the games, I think we've been pretty solid against France in the first game where Mbappe was playing. We managed a 0-0 draw away, and they both played. And we did good defensively, in my opinion. I think we played well defensively. And I think a good comparison is the second game against France, where we played at home. Pepe was injured, so Font played with Diaz, and we lost 1-0. I'm not saying it was Font's fault, but I am kind of saying it at the same time, because he wasn't as great as Pepe. We weren't as solid defensively, and he couldn't deal with the Mbappe runs. He isn't as quick as Pepe. So, yeah, I think Pepe and Diaz can be a good pairing from what I've seen from them in the national team. I think they... Can't trust each other.
So, as we're just rounding off here now, let's look at this group that you have. So, where are we at? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, sorry, let's get to the table. It's a tough group. It's a tough group. Yeah. Tough group. France, Germany, Hungary, Portugal. So, this is what I always ask everyone here. How far do you think Portugal can go?
I mean,
because
I'd like to
these
say,
guys are putting as fit. And here's my thing before you go. I think that, and this is where you have to just grow some balls. Just have to grow some balls. 2016, nobody was looking at Portugal. And Portugal, they thrived upon that underdog tag. They came in through in third place. Based on how, because remember, Croatia beat Spain in the groups, and how they beat Spain, people thought, oh, Croatia are going to beat these guys. It didn't happen. Poland, it was a toss-up, but guys, Poland have Lewandowski, boom, Portugal said, what's up? Wales were right. Remember, Wales had beaten Belgium in the previous round. So guys were, oh my gosh, could this be Bill and Wales? They said, what's up? Final, France. They had beaten Germany. They were on home soil and so forth. Overwhelmingly, it was on France, but we now know what Eder did. So this is different now where people are saying, oh, it's either going to be France or Portugal. And many people are saying, no, Portugal are going to win it. So in your view, so two questions. First question is, how far do you think? First question, do you think that they will be able to handle that tag of, no, you are one of the favorites to win this? And secondly, how far do you think they can go?
I mean, first of all, I think they'll be able to handle the pressure because a lot of our players, I mean, are people with experience. I think Cristiano leading them will be like a big asset and a big part of the team keeping its consistency and keeping the drive and not buckling under pressure. So I think that's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Where I would say we could go, I mean, I'd like to say we could win it. I mean, we have the squad to get there, in my opinion. I would actually like us to come third in the group because I was doing some seeing the brackets, and in my opinion, if we do come third, that would probably be the easiest way to the final, in my opinion.
Don't think like that. Don't see. Look at the example of Belgium. Belgium were like, no, because remember, and here's the funny thing: England were like, oh no, we're gonna come second and so forth, easy path and through. Once they faced a real team, they got knocked out. Belgium were like, no, we're gonna go all the way through, finish first, and they then faced Brazil. And people thought, oh, look at how stupid you are. You're going to face Brazil. They beat Brazil. And that game against France, who were the eventual winners, it was a toss-up. It was only 1-0. So it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It was a very close game. So I think for Portugal, I think that if you want to beat the best, you should beat the best. Because obviously, there is a potential match against England in the round of 16. You know, based on how this whole thing is. I think you guys are paired with England's group. So I mean, don't you think it's a good psychologist? But like, no, we'll beat everybody. We're here to win all games. We're here to win all 7 games.
I mean, yeah, I'd like us to win every game, but what I was trying to say is it wouldn't be cataclysmic if we finished third. Albeit we actually had some close games. So if we finish third and we get like absolutely mauled by France and Germany, that wouldn't be great because the team wouldn't be performing well, and it psychologically would be bad for the team and all that. But I think coming in second, which is probably the most likely scenario, I think maybe France might edge us to a certain extent. England will be a tough game in the round of 16, no doubt about it. I think they're one of the best squads. They do have some limitations, which all squads have, but I think that'd be a very tough game.
Yeah, their attack is very good. Their attack is
very good, yeah. So, yeah, but I think if we can make it out of the round of 16s, I think we can go all the way and maybe get into a final again. And then, I mean, we saw it in 2016. When you're in a final, anything can happen. You can win it. So, yeah.
Anything can happen. Okay, look, man. I said again, man, it's going to be interesting, man. And I think, like, I can't wait for that grouping and so forth. And I said again, look, man, the narrative is there. The narrative is there because, you know, if Cristiano does this and so forth, he won't be able to find me. I'll basically start doing analysis about cycling and fishing and so forth. So, but Joaquin, man, thank you so much for being part of this and everything, man. It was really great. You had amazing insights. So, guys, remember, man, click below to join the Fantasy League. The deadline is June 11th. Quickly join in. We have over 150 guys in there already. Join the Fantasy League within the link below. And guys, we'll see you soon. Peace out. Stay true. One love. Peace. Don't forget to click the link in the description box below to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Let's ride.